So what are we doing on this beautiful day?
What are we doing on this beautiful day? We are inside recording a podcast.
About a very rainy movie.
Yes. Well, it can't rain all the time.
I don't know, this movie is like it proves itself wrong because it rains all the fucking time.
It doesn't rain all the time.
It does.
It does not. It
fucking does.
When he's doing his guitar solo on the roof for reasons.
It's still moist.
Anyway, I would like to start on a slightly more serious note.
Okay.
On March 31st, 1993, Brandon Lee was filming The Crow, which is the film we watched this week. Due to negligence and poor handling of weapons on set, unfortunately, he was shot and killed and died of his injuries on the same day. This is his last film. I haven't watched any of his other films, but I truly believe that he's great in this and that this would have been a stepping stone to much, much bigger things. Rest in peace, Brandon.
Rest in peace.
Now we can be stupid again.
Yay.
Cool. So yes, welcome to I Hate Your Movie. After that somber introduction, I hope you're still here. We watched The Crow this week. Part of my 90s nostalgia feels.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most 90s film ever made. I think we said at one point during the filming of this.
Yeah.
It's very goth.
Mm-hmm.
It's not emo because emo wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, it was hands down 100% my favorite film. I even watched all the sequels.
Whoa.
And there's like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And they very much decline in quality immediately.
They like shot to video.
Yeah.
Straight to video
Yeah.
sequels.
I remember watching the second one, City of Angels.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good, I thought at the time. If I watched it now, I might have some different thought. Crow was released in 1994. 90s.
Yay.
For me, I feel like it started off poor and ended in, I don't know whether it was nostalgia or what, but I really got into it all the way through the film. Like the further we got into the film, the more I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan, what is your one sentence review of this 90s classic?
If MTV would direct a movie, it would be this movie. If you don't remember, MTV Music TV used to play music, and it was very big back then, especially in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Music videos were really popular and out there, and there lots of experimentations are going on with music videos. And this felt like someone's done a music video for a whole film. It's directed by Alex Proyas,
Okay.
famous director for Gods of Egypt.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And iRobot.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to call him wannabe Roland Emmerich.
iRobot's okay. It's not the worst film, but
It's somewhere between, quality-wise, between an Emmerich film and a Spielberg film. But because it's not stupid enough, it's not interesting, you know?
yeah.
It's not good enough, interesting in that way either. It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, it's the kind of film that you like watched a couple times when it was released, like within the year or two it was released, and then you forgot it existed.
Yeah. And Gods of Egypt, I haven't seen it. I've just seen trailers of it,
Yeah.
reviews of it. It looks like a CGI nightmare.
It does. It looks like someone put all the Adobe effects into a film all at once.
Yeah.
Cool. So, if MTV made a film,
Yeah.
I'm struggling to like understand if that's a positive or a negative. You know, does it work in its favor, or did you hate it for it?
I didn't hate it for it. It was a time capsule. You can look at it either way. You can look at it as like a time capsule. You can look at it as it dated it. There's certain things in the movie that dated it, especially the style of editing. But then they did a good job with like the city. I felt like they made it like this kind of Gotham whatever city, where it felt like it could be timeless. So those two things clashed for me a bit. The style of filmmaking and the actual set design and stuff, which was more timeless to me.
Okay. Well, now you mentioned the city, I didn't have it the thought when I was watching it, but now looking back, it's kind of like, you know, very early kind of Sin City type vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Like you say, where it just could be any city, but it's you still feel alive, like it is somewhere.
My big problem with the movie,
Okay.
I felt like the character of the Crow was inconsistent.
Really?
Yes. What is he? Is he the Joker? Is he the Jesus? There's scenes go back and forth of he's maniacally telling a joke and kills someone, and then the next scene he heals the mother of heroin addiction. And so which one is it? Is he a hero? Is he an anti-hero? Is he both? Is he whatever?
See, the thing I remembered most about this film, and I still think it's true, and you might laugh at me on this one, but The Crow, for me, at least in this film, has always been the same thing. It's exactly what I would do in his situation. You know?
Really?
Yeah. That's vaguely true of all kind of like superheroes and all that kind of thing. Like, but no, not really. If I was Iron Man, I might go and save some people, but generally I'd just be sitting in my little mansion, you know, having robots serve me cocktails. If I was Captain America, I'd be like big muscly. I'd go, I don't know, go into some weightlifting shows and make loads of money. I don't know. But The Crow is exactly what I'd do. If something happened that tragic in that kind of like way, I would 100% come back from the dead and just murder everyone and have just fun doing it.
But would you stop curing a woman of her heroin addiction?
Yeah, because you can help the world still while having fun killing the people that murdered your fiancée.
I couldn't really get what he's about. I thought it needs to be simpler as a hero.
It
It needs to be simpler like an Iron Man or a Captain America.
I think it made
Or a
perfect
Deadpool.
sense.
Pick a lane, I think.
Nah, it made perfect sense to me. Because at the end of the day, he's killing the people who, like, murdered his wife.
Yeah.
The woman he saves from heroin is also his friend's mother. The friend who's like a 15-year-old girl or whatever. Her mum is the one with heroin. So he's helping her still. It's not some random person on the street that he's just walked up to and like, hey hooker, stop doing heroin, bye.
Yeah. There's little things as well, like, you know, he just maniacally murdered someone with like jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then talks to the police, is like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm not feeling this. Is he a dark anti-hero? Or is he a hero? I don't get it.
Okay. For me, it's just a case of like, if you're invincible and you're faced with the person who has done horrible things to you, you probably would have a bit of fun with it.
Sure. That's why I think the lane they should have picked is anti-hero. But then he does heroic things.
But the problem with anti-hero is that you have to be miserable all the time.
He is, kind of.
No.
He gets flashbacks of his wife getting...
He is, but like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just because the police haven't done anything. He doesn't need to be sitting there like, oh, my wife died, to the police guy. He's a guy. He's still just a man. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't be like the Punisher all the time. I hate everything. Oh, I shoot people. Oh, the police are here. Oh, I'm going to kill you as well. It's boring.
I don't know. I just couldn't relate to him.
Oh, I related 100% perfectly.
Is he like really into revenge? And he is half the time. Half the time he's like faffs around and does a bit of guitaring on the rooftop.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like the guitaring on the rooftop is the only part of this that I don't really understand.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense to me.
You do understand because it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
But as in a character motivation, we don't understand. This movie starts out really weird as well, and that also added to my confusion.
Okay.
Because the intro scene, which is like a girl talking about onions giving her farts, and Brandon Lee bursting out of a coffin, ready for revenge.
Yeah.
You know, like a girl is talking about her farts, and that's intercut with the big revenge epic thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just tonally, it was like, whoa, is this meant to be funny? Is this meant to be serious?
It's not meant to be either. It's meant to be like, again, I don't know why, that just makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
That's what I think that's how I would have filmed it too, because you don't want the Frankenstein like lightning on his own and he's climbing out of the grave kind of thing, because that's too much. That's not the tone of the film. Mm-hmm. But you do have to introduce the characters. But the point of it is, I don't know. This is the guy who made iRobot, so I don't know. I just think the idea is to show that kind of the world has continued, you know, people are still just doing what they do and trying to get by, and they don't expect anything happening. But at the same time, this thing is happening to Eric
Draven.
Eric Draven, fantastic name, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. It shows that just the whole world is just carrying on. It introduces you to Devil's Night and everything that's going on with that, and it keeps you on this like really street level narrative. There's no kind of like person twirling their mustaches up in a skyscraper.
It had like Star Wars 3 Revenge of the Sith vibes. When they like in the same scene they have R2D2 comically sliding on the oil and beheading a person. You know, it's kind of like that.
Okay. Pretty sure you're the first person ever to compare The Crow to Revenge of the Sith.
I don't know, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of goths going on.
Did you ever have a goth phase?
No, we're both millennials, but you're a bit ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I had a weird upbringing of like, I was introduced to a lot of retro music even when I was a kid. So I was into like 60s to 80s music. And then when I switched on to current music, it was already emo phase.
Ugh.
I wasn't really an emo, I was a punk.
Okay.
Emo was born out of punk. So I'm pretty sure there was a crossover there.
I think emo is a cheap imitation of goth. I don't think it's born out of punk.
It is, but it is born out of punk. Yeah, it's like pop punk. Like if you think of Avril Lavigne and stuff like that, that's like the crossover. That's it.
Okay.
So no, I never really had a goth phase. I don't know any of the bands that you always go on about.
I never had a proper goth phase in terms of music, but I did do the whole like big black coat.
Yeah.
Yep. There was one time in my life that I had painted black nails.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
Goth is a hard thing to pull off when you're bald. I'm not gonna lie.
You just gotta go for it.
Yeah. I think at that point you need like facial piercings to pull it off.
I always attempted kind of a standard rock style with like studs and things like that, but I was always I ended up being too lazy and never wore them. So I just realized my style is that I'm lazy and that's my style. I was hanging around with punks and I just looked like a guy, and that all of them had mohawks and shit. It was funny.
Yeah, I was more nu metal. And I pretty much dressed exactly as I dress today.
Okay.
Only my jeans aren't as baggy.
Yeah.
Like check shirt over a t-shirt. Kind of skate shoes and jeans. Pretty much identical.
Yeah. I was classic rock. Like Deep Purple. I love Deep Purple.
Yeah.
The Doors. If you want to go into more like sad category. And then I immediately skipped over to punk emo. And now I'll only listen to electronic music. So these are my three phases, and my clothes do not reflect any of it, and never did. I refuse to conform even to the punks.
I don't like classic rock.
No,
I like 80s metal, like hair metal, or
love
like
hair metal.
anything like that. The only thing I will listen to like from the 80s is The Cure.
Yeah.
I do like The Cure. Featured in this film. It's a song called Burn by The Cure, and it's fantastic, and it was stuck in my head for like 5 days after we watched this film.
I did watch a video about the lead singer, and it looks like they just digged him out of a bin. It's just like his hair is everywhere, and his makeup is like smushed.
Yeah. He's gone from like boyish, gorgeous face, and now he just looks like someone's crazy aunt.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that the movie gets into it right away. I like that there's no faffing about. Immediately revenge time. And then you get introduced to the backstory pieces at a time. I really like that. That was a cool decision. It was an interesting one. Didn't have to sit through 30 minutes of backstory. Didn't have to see how Brandon Lee and wife had a really lovely time together all the time, like for 30 minutes, just to have that happen to them.
Yeah, if this film was made today, and I haven't seen the remake of The Crow, more on that later. If this was made today, the film would start with them choosing wedding invitations, and they'd be at the stationery store picking out bits and pieces.
At the very least, there would be a scene where they are within white sheets and they're giggling at each other.
Yeah.
That trope.
Yeah, they would be there, and then you'd sit with them for 10 minutes, and then the girl would come round, and they would all have a lovely time.
And everything is always positive and nice.
Yeah.
So it feels worse when that happens.
And then bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
And then you would have like another 5 to 10 minutes of him being dead. And, is he going to come back? Yes, he is. It's the whole point of the film.
Yeah, you've seen it in the trailers.
Yeah.
But you're right. That would be, if we watch the remake, that's how it is.
Yeah.
I would bet on it.
We'll talk about the remake a little bit. I haven't seen it. I love this film so much that I just could not watch it. And there was something about the trailer that bugged me. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Is it the mullet?
The mullet?
Yeah, he has kind of a mullet.
Does he?
Yeah, his awful haircut. Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, his haircut is weird.
Yeah.
But no, that wasn't it. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was until I watched this.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that is really rubbish about the trailer is that it's too bright. There's a scene in the trailer where he's fighting through this like giant mansion ballroom type thing. And everything's like really well lit and everything's like beautifully shot in a way. But it's not this.
You need the grunginess.
Yeah, you need the darkness. You need the dirtiness of the city.
Yes.
And the dilapidation of the city. And that's the point of it. The whole thing. That's the massive tone of the whole film. Is
You
that
need
these
to
criminals
you need to shoot it in an old camcorder. So it looks shit. But yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm not joking.
Okay.
I think that's part of it. Is that like if you're doing like this kind of this underground feeling, raw feeling thing, I think you need to shoot it like on an iPhone. You know?
Yeah.
I really think that.
Okay. It looks to me like in the remake, the rich crime boss is like a Scarface type thing where he sits in this big old mansion. Whereas in this version of the film, the 1994 version, he's in this grunge club and he's just on the top floor of this grunge club. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it needs.
Yeah. The gang is being introduced. I had a funny night. First of all, it's a very multicultural gang, which is a very 90s thing. Today it would be like, you know, the Arab gang or the whatever gang. They would pick a race today, I feel like.
Okay.
But it's very multicultural. It's like, you know, because in real life that happens too. Like you have the Irish mafia, you have the Italian mafia, you know. But it's just guys, just whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing again. Like, are you praising that or?
It's neutral. It's just interesting.
Okay, cool.
I
Nice.
mean, it's a trope back then. Like RoboCop had the same thing, but I don't know.
I think the point is like at that point there's like one gang leader, you know, he's taken over everything and he's in charge of everyone, so everyone kind of intermingles in this utopian society.
He has his sub gang leaders. But yeah, maybe that's how we should organize society. Just make one gang, one criminal organization. Anyway, it introduces the bad guys, other than just vague flashbacks to the horrible things that happen. But they introduces to the bad guys. They swallow things, like they swallow like a bullet.
They're eating bullets.
Bullet, and then a lit cigarette. And then I just wanted the scene so bad. It just cuts to them on the toilet, like. It was made up to be like this cool thing, like, oh, I'm gonna swallow a bullet. You got to shit the out later. That's not gonna be fun for anyone.
Because they're hardcore, you know?
Yeah.
They're crazy.
That's why I wanted the toilet scene.
Crazy gang.
That's why I wanted to see the aftermath of eating a bullet.
The bullets they were eating were quite big. I don't know if I could swallow a whole bullet in one go, you know? I struggle to take, like, ibuprofen if I'm trying to eat it in one go.
Well, let's put it to the test.
He's gone back to his home. That's a very well-trained crow, by the way.
Oh, can I say a fun fact? I read fun facts about this movie.
Go on.
One of my favorite one was, there's no crows in this movie. It's all ravens.
Really?
Yeah, because they picked ravens because they're bigger and they're more like, I guess, comes across more epic if it's bigger on the screen. But yeah, I just found that interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. Eric Draven comes back to life. He has all the powers of the crow, which is he can get a piece of nut by displacing water with a rock, then lifting up the water, and then gets the nut. And that's the powers of the crow. That's my joke.
I have
for
absolutely
today.
no idea what you're talking about. Is that a thing that crows do?
Yeah, crows are really smart, and how they usually demonstrate how they're giving them these water puzzles that they can displace water to get to a tree.
Okay.
So they're really fucking smart.
So he goes back to his flat.
Yeah.
Something I thought you might have issue with, that I thought was like a really cool choice in the film, is that in no way does it explain really why he chooses that makeup to put on his face.
No, he sees a mask.
Yeah, there's a vague thing where he has a flashback. He touches it's kind of like the theatre mask that one's happy, one's sad. And there's a flashback where he puts it over his face, he's like, boo. And his fiancée say, hoo.
I feel like that's a good enough explanation.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Don't need more than that.
again, like the remake probably has a scene where they go to the theater and it's a character in the show that they're thing, and it's all like, I don't know, maybe it's somehow Macbeth and someone's dressed like that, and that's how he chooses to dress. But no, it's none of that. It's just he sits at a desk, touches a mask, punches the mirror, becomes a goth.
Yeah.
All right, out for revenge. I ain't got time for this shit.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I had problem with, and it's throughout the movie, and they introduce this thing that becomes like a plot hole.
Okay.
Try to defend that that's not a plot hole. I'm curious if you can. It's annoying because if they just didn't say that, it wouldn't be a plot hole. It's just completely in the dialogue. They say that a year has passed since he died and came back to life. They say that multiple times.
Okay.
And the police remembers every detail of the thing at this crime-ridden society. The flat is the same, and it's covered up with police warnings and tapes. And the cat's alive. Their cat is alive somehow. And they shut down the whole building block for like a year before one flat of one murder. You know, and if they just didn't say that a year has passed, all these things would be like, okay, it just happened like a few weeks ago or whatever. I don't like to harp on plot holes, but because they say it so many times, I'm like, would the flat be the same a year later? Would the police remember this specific case? Would the fucking cat be alive? Defend.
Cool. Right. So, yes to all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, the reason that Eric Draven and Shelley were killed was because the gang leaders were trying to drive people out of the building and they were fighting it.
Okay.
So, they put a petition up for everybody in the building to stay where they are. People signed the petition, but Big Crime Boss didn't like it. So, he sent the people to go murder them. Cool. So yes, it would be empty because that's what they were trying to do in the first place.
I didn't catch that part.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep. So, and even if it wasn't, murders happened. People don't want to buy a murder flat, even though it is a fucking cool flat.
Yeah,
like I really want that flat with the big round window.
I would buy it. No.
Yeah.
That's like how the human brain works. There was a murder there, so I don't want the flat. But surely, if you think statistically, a murder happened there, so it's unlikely a murder happens again. So might as well buy it.
It's like the thing in America. Like, have you ever heard the thing, like, there's a thing that makes houses 10% cheaper in America. And do you know what it is?
Oh, they have the 13th floor?
No.
Okay.
Is if they're reported to be haunted.
Yeah. Yeah. I would live in a
Absolutely, 100%. I would say you give me 10% of a house. I'll just live with a ghost.
Yeah. It's so fun that people are stupid and we can take advantage of that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the flat, that's why it would be the same. Cats can look after themselves. I think the least likely thing is the cat still lives there. It would still be alive because it would go and just like harass other people. That's what cats do, they just go to other windows and somebody feeds them and then they become their cat.
That's their owner. Yeah.
Exactly. So the cat would still be alive. Maybe it would travel back to flat every now and again to shit. I don't know. maybe it's just like Batman, like sitting at the window looking out over the city.
I want smell-o-vision, and then every time they enter this flat, it just smells of cat shit.
Cat shit and piss.
Yeah.
And what was the last? Oh, the police. The police don't remember it.
The guy, definitely. Ernie Hudson does.
Ernie Hudson does because he was
his
there.
boss does.
No, Ernie Hudson spends his time reminding everybody what happened.
All right.
The reason Ernie Hudson remembers it is because he spent 12 hours in the emergency room with Shelley waiting for her to wake up so he could ask her some questions.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. It's almost there.
It's almost there.
It's almost there.
I was 100% locked down all of it apart from the cat. You can have the cat.
Yeah, the cat. Thank you. Can we talk about guy who has a catchphrase? Pawn shop guy. Shit on me.
Shit on me.
Shit on me.
Shit on me.
Again, a moment where I'm like, is this supposed to be funny or is this supposed to be serious when he keeps saying shit on me?
I think it's supposed to be serious.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Criminals say weird things, man. Like, they really do. I've had, like, very little interaction with, like, people who have been arrested and I've just been there in the scene or whatever. And they do say some really weird shit. Mm-hmm. They really do. And I think if you break down any kind of actual, like, expletive or, like, expression, none of them make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but shit on me sticks out because no one says that.
Wow. they did in the 90s.
I guess so. As you kept saying in a comedy voice, shit on me.
Shit on me.
It didn't feel like very natural, you know? Didn't feel like that's his pure reaction. That was his catchphrase. That was his bazinga, you know?
By the way, the whole pawn shop scene, I love it.
Yeah?
I love it start to finish. It's so, I don't know, perfect for me. From when he bangs on the door, he just opens the door, and he comes in, and he starts like that monologue.
Oh, yeah. That's when he says the Poe thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And there's this really silly bit that I just adore where, like, shit on me guy turns around and Eric Draven jumps on the counter and jumps up. And he just hangs from the ceiling and he's upside down, like kind of like Spider-Man. He's like, hello, and he bashes him on the head. I don't know why. That's just perfect. You know, it's this really serious, dark scene, but he's having fun with it, and I love it.
To me, it was a bit of a mess, that one. I mean, I like the scene, but the constant tonal shifts, it's just not working for me.
Okay. I just think some of the choices as well in that scene, like at the end, he pours the rings into the shotgun.
Yeah,
fires the rings shotgun at the flames.
Yeah.
And he just leaves. And he's got this really, I don't know if it was deliverance. I don't know if it was the way it was delivered that Brandon did it, or it was meant to be funny, but it's just, again, for me, it was just perfect the way he's leaving the store and he's like, do I smell gasoline? And then, I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's the point in this film where I started to get more comfortable. Because at the start, and everything's like way over the top, and you got the people eating bullets, and they're doing that stupid fire it up, fire it up, fire it up, and it's all just like, whoa, this is a bit much.
A bit crazy.
It's weird that when like Eric Draven comes back, it kind of cools down a bit, and then it ramps up later.
Yeah.
To go back to your music thing, it's like a mixtape. There's rules in making a mixtape. I'm quoting the film High Fidelity now.
Okay.
There's rules when you make a mixtape. You start off strong, and then you go even bigger than that, but you don't want to blow your wad, is what they say. So then you've got to take it down a notch, and then you start building from there.
Yeah. To me, it's more like if you start a mixtape and the first song is ABBA, and then in the middle of that song, System of a Down starts playing. To me, that's this film. The thing is, like, when some of the set design is so well done, little misfires stand out. My favorite, which I think is the most unintentionally funny moment, is the police guy's apartment. Ernie Hudson's apartment, which is like, you know, we don't want to give him things to do when he's, you know, not a policeman. What can we do? Why not put, let's see, I wrote down the whole thing. So he has on his couch, so it's like signals constantly in use, right? Trumpet, a basketball, a football, and a baseball. There's no even sitting space. He likes sports and he likes jazz or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit over there. I like that they gave him stuff to do, though.
Yeah.
They gave him a little backstory, kind of what he does.
It was Baby's first home design. It was a character home design. Let's put everything he likes on a couch.
What do you mean? He does them all at the same time?
Maybe he juggles while he's doing the trumpet. He juggles a basketball, football, and the
He's secretly a clown.
Can we call the main bad guy James Franco? He looks a lot like James Franco.
So James Franco's dad.
Yeah. Deep voice James Franco. Put on voice James Franco. What do you think about all the accidental Dark Knight Joker relations? Did I just make that up in my mind?
Going back to it, it seems there's a lot of inspiration for the Dark Knight's Joker in this film.
Visually, for sure, like long hair and the makeup. There's lots of little scenes where he's like, see a joke, haha, but a scene that really stood out to me is when he goes and infiltrates the bad guys.
Oh,
eating.
yeah.
And it was almost exactly like the "Do you want to see a magic trick" Joker scene. It was almost exactly the same. He comes out of the shadows, everyone's like, weapons. And the James Franco says something like, give me one reason I shouldn't kill you right now. I was like, oh my God, did David Goyer watch this film before writing The Dark Knight? It's so weird.
Yeah, there's another bit as well where he, I think is when he's killing Fun Boy. And he tells the joke. Jesus walks into a bar, gives the barman 3 pins and says, put me up for the night. And all the time he's getting shot and he's...
Yeah. So weird.
Yeah, maybe. I like to think so.
Yeah, inspired for sure. What do you think about the Crow being too powerful in this movie? Throughout most of this movie, he's invincible. He can't be hurt.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I think it hurts him. He just heals quickly.
Yeah, but he can't be killed.
Well, he has one massive weakness that comes up later.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's enough.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like he should have come up earlier. Because I was getting a bit bored by how invincible he is all the time.
I liked the journey of like him killing these people. I like the fact that he does it in different ways, imaginative ways. And it's about his journey for revenge for those 4 people. And I think, if anything, the end scene wasn't particularly necessary. You need to make the film out of it, otherwise the film's going to be like 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole bit where he becomes vulnerable, for me, that's the letdown.
Yeah,
Film,
for me that's the highest point.
Yeah.
Because finally, that's what I really don't like about some comic book movies is when the hero is exactly the same powered, or even the hero is more powerful than the villain. I feel like it is way more interesting if the hero is like, shows its like personality and inventiveness if they have to defeat like someone bigger than them.
Mm-hmm.
And all throughout this movie, except the very end, he's invulnerable and he's just tears through everyone. And then, what's the threat of that James Franco? Nothing really, except at the very, very end.
Yeah, I just like the story. You see this story of like pain and loss and tragedy through the eyes of these different people. And that's the story. Okay. I think the story really is like although it is kind of his revenge arc, the story of the film is about loss. For me, anyway. Like I said, if he'd come back, interacted with the characters, seen everything from everyone's perspective, killed the bad guys, and then just got back into his grave, and the film ended, mm-hmm. I'd have been happy with that.
See, that's not a good narrative, I think.
Because it's not about the comic book element. It's not about the hero element. It's about the human element. And once that story's told, that's fine for me.
But even if we discard the superhero stuff, I think a lot of good films are about like problem solving, if you really boil it down. Okay. Especially these kind of revenge films. The other movie this reminded me of is Mandy. Have you seen Mandy before?
No, I have zero interest in seeing Mandy.
It's very similar to this.
I would.
And that ends like that.
I guarantee you it's not.
It is. It is very like dark and revenge and grungy and metal and like, But one of my big problems with that film is that it ends the way you want it to.
Really?
It's like the most straightforward revenge film ever, because he goes on revenge and he does the revenge and it ends. And it's just like no twists, no flair, no nothing. I mean, the visuals are really what's selling the movie.
I had such bad things about Mandy.
It's on my list.
It's blackballed. I'm not, unless you win a quiz, I'm not watching Mandy.
Okay.
Talk about the 4 bad guys.
Yeah.
What did you think about the 4 bad guys? When we were watching it together, my thought process was like, Dan's going to think they're overly simplistic because they don't really have stories. I mean, yeah,
but I think they were as complex as they needed to be.
Okay, cool.
In this film.
Nice.
I don't want
You didn't want a scene where they go home and there's like a drum set.
Yeah.
And a painting of flowers and like crochet set and that kind of thing on their couch.
They go on AA meetings. They held AA meetings for addicts. You needed that scene in Austin Powers when he squashes the guy with the thing, and then they call up his wife, and there's like a 5-minute scene. Little Jimmy, I've got bad news for you. You needed that.
Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Harlan. Yes, my husband is a henchman in Dr. Evil's private army. What? Oh my God. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Mom.
Sit down, Billy. I've got some bad news. Your stepfather was run over by a steamroller.
But Mom, since Dad left, Steve's been like a father to me.
People never think how things affect the family of a henchman.
No, it's what it had to be. It was unrealistic and comical in ways, but I don't know, it just fits the movie. I can't be critical of these bad guys and at the same time critical of the bad guys in RoboCop because they are one and the same to me.
The complete opposite end of that scale is the really annoying skank guy. What was his name? I don't remember what his name was. He was just annoying.
Yeah, it's meant to be though.
He was meant to be, but I suppose it was well acted because it was so irritating, but they needed to tone that down like 2 or 3 notches.
It was weird that he was the last one left. Mm-hmm. You feel like it should be like a ladder up to the top guy.
Yeah.
But no, he's the most lame one and he's the last one left.
Yeah, T-Bird should be in the last alive if you're writing it traditionally.
Yeah.
But again, you know.
Yeah, he was just used as bait. Could have been whoever, really.
I love when like he's in like the bad guy's lair and he's trying to explain to the big bad guy what's happening. He's like, and the bad guy's like, maybe we should just record this and slow it down. I love the bad guy's lair, by the way. He's fantastic, and I love his menacing like psychopath nonsense. It's just fantastic.
Yeah,
all of it. I like it when his name's Gideon, by the way, the pawn shop owner. I like it when he's there and like he just throws an eyeball at him.
Yeah,
it's like that's what happened to the last guy. Just there's no nuance in it. There's no kind of like, oh, maybe he's a bad guy because he has to be. No, he's just a complete psychopath. Mm-hmm. And my favorite about the scene with Gideon, he says something that is an expression I still use to this day. Mm-hmm. He describes what happened to him. He's like, oh, my pawn shop burned down. I got set on fire. I got stabbed in the hand. Other than that, my day sucked. I still say that to this day. If I'm having a bad day at work, I'm like, oh yeah, this happened, that happened, other than that, my day sucked. I love it.
It's funny.
But yeah, that's it. How old is this film? 94? I probably haven't seen it in about 20 years, maybe more. So yeah, I've been saying that expression for 20 years because of this film.
Wow. Is this one long night?
Yes.
This is the longest night ever. That's it. That's my commentary.
Longest night ever, and it has like various different, like it rains sometimes and it rains other times.
Does this take place in Norway or something? On like the ice or Svalbard? 18 hours of darkness on the summer.
You can get a lot done in October.
Yeah,
at night time. You can drive around the city and murder 4 people in 12 hours because it ends with sunrise.
Yeah. Also, one thing about the year difference as well. It's like it's been a year. The golden age.
I'll give you that one.
I just remember that.
Yeah, I'll give you that one 100% because especially at that age as well, people grow so quickly.
Yeah.
She'd be like a foot taller.
Yeah. I liked her character. She was cool.
Skateboarding.
Yeah.
Girl.
I always want to ask you something and I never know where to fit it in.
Okay.
I've got this conspiracy theory. It's my conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a skateboard trick done in real life?
Yes.
I've never seen one.
Okay.
I always see people attempting it and then falling over. So this is my made-up conspiracy theory: is that skateboard tricks don't exist.
Right.
I'm going with it.
It's as valid as any other conspiracy theory, I suppose.
Yeah. I've never seen one.
No? Oh my god.
And I watched a lot. They attempt an ollie and just fall over. Like 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I've never seen one pull off. Real life, I've never seen a person pull off a skateboard trick.
Yeah, like all of these videos make it seem like they do it effortlessly. But no, like from what I've seen, like 90% of it is failure.
Yeah.
And then they'll do it one time and that's what's in the video.
Skating was big when I was a kid as well.
Yeah.
And I've still never seen anyone in real life pull off a trick. Any trick. Not even an ollie.
Ollies are hard.
Yeah. Well, but that's the most common one, right? That people attempt.
Well, that's a jump. So you need to be able to jump to do other things.
I don't consider jump a trick.
Oh, it is. Like, oh my god, jumping. Do you know how it works?
Not if you fall over at the end of it. Then I don't consider that a trick.
No.
Because I can do that too.
Yeah, if someone's like pick a card, any card, and they drop the whole deck,
yeah,
then it's not exactly a trick. So yes, I have. It's really cool to see.
I'm not taking your word for it. Like any good conspiracy theorist, I'm just gonna go with it blindly until I'm proven wrong in an embarrassing way.
Okay, I've been trying to find a place to naturally put this in.
Okay.
But I'm going to try and build it up a little bit before I do something. Cool. So let's talk about how if you're wearing makeup and you're doing lots of exercise and it's raining, it's probably going to come off, right?
Oh, yeah. He did come off a little bit.
Yeah.
As in places, yeah.
And, right, big reveal time. I have had first-hand experience of this. I actually, one time, and I would still do it any Halloween possible. For one time, Halloween, whatever year, I did dress up as the Crow.
Really?
For Halloween,
Love to see that.
Oh my god.
Can I put... do you have pictures?
No, I don't.
Oh, shit. I want to put that in a thumbnail.
Oh my god.
You as the Crow.
It would be amazing. I wish I had pictures. It was absolutely hilarious. So I borrowed my mate's leather jacket. The rest is easy. Black top, black jeans. Had that all anyway because I was a bit of a goth. And I think I still have the wig.
Okay.
I think I still have the wig. I think it's at the bottom of my cupboard. Right. But wigs are hot, man. Like, and I put all the makeup on and I started to sweat and it got a bit funny. But it was absolutely hilarious. So I rocked up at this like Halloween party that a friend of mine was putting on. And it was hilarious because she answered the door and she was like, oh, hello. Because she was into like goth guys and that kind of thing. She was like, oh, hello. She didn't ask like who I was or anything.
She said, Edward Scissorhands. Thank you for coming to my party.
Yeah, so we like came in and that kind of thing. And she clearly like was trying to figure out what was going on. Oh, it's Rick. And she was like, oh. It's just the absolute disappointment on her face.
That's how good your makeup was that she couldn't tell it was you.
No one could tell it was me.
Wow.
Because I was bored at the time and I was wearing this wig and I had full makeup. Literally, not a single person there.
But not
could
even
tell
from
who
your
it was.
voice.
I guess not. I don't
So
talk
weird.
much at parties anyway, I suppose.
I guess so.
I'm not like the life of the party. But it was absolutely hilarious. Nobody knew who I was.
Wow.
Oh, it's you. Fuck you.
I feel like if you had heroin addiction and then you're suddenly magically cured of your heroin addiction, you wouldn't be like great mom all of a sudden. It's probably the underlying issue that caused you the heroin addiction that made you a shitty mom to begin with, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit simple, so whatever.
It is a bit simple, but it's everything in this film kind of is really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that felt way overly simplistic. So she gets cured of heroin and then, she wakes up the next day and she decides, I'm going to make some eggs for my daughter.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then they have a hug at the end. Oh, good, that's done. We solved that. We solved years of abuse and neglect just because she made some eggs and bacon.
Happy Mother's Day. It's weird talking about this film and knowing what happened to Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
It's like retroactively distasteful a little bit. But like, how do you deal with that? What do you do? When he shows up at the mafia people and then he gets riddled with bullets, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not think about that? So it's weird talking about this sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you look at the situation with the film Rust.
Yeah.
And you just think about that film and you just never going to be released. That's your thought process, that it's never going to be released. But it is, apparently. It's coming out.
Yeah. In The Crow, I think Brandon Lee's wife gave permission or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not going to release it. I read that.
Yeah, I think it was his girlfriend because on Brandon Lee's tombstone, there's a passage that he had picked out for his wedding invitations.
Oh.
Right, so the end of the film, they figure the mystic boss lady's sister/lover figures that the crow is his power.
Yeah.
And
The Raven.
They shoot the crow.
Wait, this was a raven. You got this wrong.
Yeah, they shoot the crow and it hurts him. So then they shoot him and he goes down and there's a obligatory sword fight on a church roof.
Epic.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. My favourite bit about that scene, right? And it's a tiny detail that somebody put in. So he goes into the church and someone scrapes something above the door. And do you know what it says?
No.
Demolished by neglect.
Oh, I did read that, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I liked that. I liked the implications for the church in general. So yeah, fight scene on the roof. I think he gets struck by lightning at one point. It just carries on. Why not? Because he's a man at this point, but he's so fueled by revenge. And it just... there is a bit right at the end where the bad guy is like leaning over him and he's like, nothing happens in this town without my say-so. I told him to kill your fiancée.
He didn't talk like that at all. But
I feel like he did.
He didn't have that
I feel like
accent.
that was a perfect...
He had like a put on brotherly, nothing happens in this town without me saying.
No,
He
he
was
definitely
like
had
that.
like a twang to it of like some kind of... Yeah, especially when he's doing the big speech. When he's like, I want you to light a fire like you've ever seen. That is almost exactly how he says it. Almost exactly. I've impressed myself with
Let
how
me
accurate that was.
editing Dan will confirm or deny.
A man and a woman in law a year ago. I'm sure you'll remember.
Look here, son. I say, son, you're built too low. The fast ones go over your head. You got a hole in your glove. I keep pitching them and you keep missing them. You gotta keep your eye on the ball.
I just put in a clip from, was that chicken in Looney Tunes that has done?
I'll say now.
I say, this, I say.
Or I tell you what, you could put in as well.
Yeah.
The courtroom scene from the Joker.
Yeah. Who knew? He did sound like that.
But for me, it just doesn't make sense. You know, he's killed the people who murdered his fiancée, and now he's after this guy. Why? Because he kidnapped the girl. The girl's free. Nah. You know, fight on the roof.
They did say that the gang members were on his orders. Mm-hmm. It's good enough reason for me.
But yeah.
If you're gonna question vengeance and when it stops, you know, you should probably arrive to the conclusion that it's all pointless. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, who's he going to kill next? He's going to go kill the city planners because they didn't put enough police in? Or...
Yeah, he's going to kill the corrupt politicians who've been paid off or whatever, you know. He's just going to go on more and more murder.
Until he's President Crow. What's his tax policy?
What's his tax policy? This is President Crow and a VP Crow. A real crow. That's a raven. Shut up. Kill. Crow.
Okay. So I feel like this has been like a mixed bag. Even after this, how many?
Hour and a half.
Even after an hour and a half recording, I still cannot tell where you land on this film, and I'm still like so interested what you're going to give it out of 10, because it genuinely could be anywhere between like a 3 and a 7.
Okay, I'll be very boring, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
Because that's what I thought it was. It was good in some ways, bad in some ways, and it kind of equaled out. And I don't have that rewatch thing that you do, but I would rewatch it if, you know, whatever it was on. Mm-hmm. It was interesting enough. It was unique enough. Had some tonal issues, so I couldn't really get into the characters. And the style was a bit before my generation. I appreciated it, but it wasn't like, it didn't hit me with the nostalgia as much.
Yep, that's fair.
What would you give it?
I would probably give it a 7.
Okay. Sounded very confident there.
Yeah, it was between a 7 and an 8. Mm-hmm. I feel like the beginning of the film's overly simplistic. I didn't like the introduction to the eating bullets and putting your finger on your tongue. And again, the end is just kind of like, nah, you've told your story. Why are you continuing? For me, anyway.
Okay.
So
that was my favorite part.
Okay.
So
what are we watching next?
Episode 98. We're coming up to 100.
Episode 98. What?
Coming up. I picked, I think, what is the perfect, like, penultimate before bonus episode episode of I Hate Your Movie, which is, we started this whole podcast with a Western.
Okay.
And I kept meaning to go back to Westerns because one of my aims in this podcast for you is to show you stuff that you don't like generally, like genres you don't like, and maybe get something out of it. Mm-hmm. And I tried that with horror a lot, but I think we should go back to Westerns. And also this Western was supposed to be in a blind bag of doom that we do, Patreon recommendations.
Okay.
But I didn't put it in because I knew I'm going to pick it.
Right.
It's called Bone Tomahawk.
Yep.
It's a recent-ish, last 10 years, a bit more maybe, Western, plus a mystery genre.
Okay.
So, and it's directed by a novel writer.
Okay.
So there's lots of little interesting things. Kurt Russell, your favorite. So yeah, Bone Tomahawk.
Cool.
Let's see if we're going to make you like a Western. Just before 100, we get to a 7 out of 10, and we make you like a Western.
7 out of 10, double bill.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye.
Because we don't know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well. And yet everything happens only a certain number of times, and a very small number really. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood, an afternoon that is so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it? Perhaps 4 or 5 times before? Perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20, and yet it all seems limitless.